Alright guys, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. Today we're going to be doing a tier list. Actually, this is coming after part 3 of the anniversary. Well, the anniversary looks to be winding down. There might be more stuff towards the end, but it's highly unlikely. We have the easy A's for the gods and the fours, which is normally their last thing that they do. But, yeah, so I believe now is a good time to make it. So starting off with the honorable mentions tier here, and go ahead and get that out of the way. Where did he go? Let's see. Put Slide Dynamic Goku in here. So my thought process with this being is he stacks his defense, as everyone probably knows, that he stacks fairly fast. And I think that he's honestly a really underrated unit. But that's just from what I've seen. But it's also kind of one of those things of the biggest voices don't always represent the true thoughts of the community. So I'm kind of assuming that that's the case here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Is I do believe that he is, I believe he's up there. He's in the discussion for this type of list. I think he's that good. My reasoning for that, sorry, that's the wrong unit. My reasoning for that, like I said, is he's stacking really fast. He's stacking his attack, so his active skill down here is going to hit insanely hard. It's not super hard to get, considering so many bosses have so much HP that 30% isn't, is not asking a lot. That once they get to 30%, he's going to pop his active skill and just kill from there. And oftentimes, he can go in slot 1, and oftentimes you want to rotate them slot 1, slot 4, or slot 2, slot 1, slot 2. Him and Full Power Frieza are the same way in that sense. That's how you get them to stack their defense the fastest, considering they get a super after being hit for 4 turns. So you put them in slot 1, they get this active, and on the next turn it comes back, you put them in slot 2, and they get this, which is another super. So then you just cycle back and forth. But if you're once you get to the later stages of the event, obviously your guard will be out, so you're going to want to leave him in slot 1 just so you can get this extra 30% damage reduction, because it will end up making a difference in these harder fights. So moving on from Goku, you already saw before. Where did he go? This guy. He's really good. I feel like there's a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one. He's a really, really good unit. However, my big gripe with him is this. This right here. He doesn't get all of his defense until he gets hit. Meaning, if that first hit is a super attack, you're just dead. Like, you're just dead. There's no other way around it. I would also like if he had built-in additionals that weren't just his intro. I feel like they really, really held back with this guy. As far as, I feel like his should have had a built-in additional, at least one, and the performs a crit hit or whatever, like that performs a critical hit on active or 24 key. That should have just been base. They shouldn't be blocked by anything. It should have been start a fight, turn 1, let him have it. I don't think it's asking for too much. And he, like I said, he also needs a little bit more defense just so he can take some of these hits, because this isn't activating until you take that first hit, and that first hit's more than likely a super attack, and then that's just rest in peace. But aside from that, those are the negatives for me that really drag him down. But besides that, though, he still hits insanely hard. Especially on that active skill rotation, he's absolutely pumping out damage. Like, it's insane. So that's why I have him on the list, but those are my gripes as far as his defensive side. I don't think he's defensively good enough, especially just for that first hit. And I also would have liked this to be the start of the fight, turn 1, and then a built-in additional. I think that would have helped him a lot. So that lands him in the honorable mentions as well. And so we have one more honorable mention to get through before we actually get into the list, and that's this guy. This guy, he never goes away kind of thing. He's probably always going to be an honorable mention at the least, assuming he doesn't go up. And that's because he gets 77% chance to dodge. He's dodge or die, like 9 times out of 10. The only reason that I have him so low now is because dodge canceling's a thing in a lot of these fights. And this guy without dodge is, it's kind of his whole thing. He's a fish. He's useless. If he can't dodge, what's he going to do? Get hit and he get obliterated. That being said, I know Tech UI's domain helps with that, but I don't feel like taking under consideration what another unit's domain does for him as part of his ranking is necessarily completely fair. But I also don't think that Tech UI Goku is that good either. I feel like this guy has a lot of times been failing me with his dodges. Granted, it's just my luck with, I notoriously don't have that great of luck with dodge, specifically with UI Goku's dodging. So that could also just be the case. But yeah, I think everyone understands why he's here. I mean, he gets guaranteed dodge for first turn, and then after that he's got 77% chance, and it goes up. He's really good. No surprise there. So that's him there. So now we're moving into the actual top 10 list. So for slot 10, I've got Gotenks. I really like Gotenks. He's an insane unit. Absolutely ridiculous. It's honestly crazy. Getting 200% defense, then the 77% defense when receiving attack. Like, it's crazy. 55% damage reduction with a Final Trump card ally on the team, which isn't hard to do, considering Final Trump cards got so many good characters that you're more than likely running one. Like, both of the new fusions are on Final Trump card. If you've got them, you're at least running one of them. Hold on, let me pull up the category here. Here it is. So with Final Trump cards, you've got either one of these guys, you're definitely running them. You got either one of these guys, you're more than likely running them. Either one of them, you're definitely running. They're still really good. He's solid, but I don't know if you'd be running him with Gotenks. More than likely not, but you see what I'm saying? Like, the options are there. He has the help the category is good enough that it's almost always going to be active. So that's how I see that as far as that's going. And then him having this, so he just has a high chance, so 50% chance to just not take damage when he gets supered. And if it's a Ki Blast super, he's going to eat it for the 44% damage reduction. Assuming he doesn't get this, he'll have 44% damage reduction at least. If it's the first 5 turns, that's what? It's 55, 99% damage reduction if it's the first 5 turns. It's going to counter it. So it's insane. He totally has the viability for it. And then he also gets extra defense on his active skill. My only real gripe with this unit, I feel like, is he can get hit pretty hard in the later stages of events once this wears off and, it starts getting down to the wire. I feel like he doesn't perform well enough. That being said, I haven't had him just outright fail. Oftentimes, he's eating hits and it's like, okay, well, he's not going to live this. There's a lot of hits here or something like that, or it's an unlucky super. But overall, I do believe he deserves to be here. He's absolutely insane. But I want to say he gets a built-in additional, but I feel like I might be wrong. Where's it at? No, here it is. It's 18 key, he gets an additional super. But yeah, he's a insanely good unit. So, oh, look at that. He's got that thing that I was saying that Gohan needed. Guaranteed crits, 24 key, turn 1. Anyways, moving on. I don't feel like it's any real contest for a lot of these guys on where they're going to be at. As far as if they deserve to be on the list or not. So the next unit I've got is Int Broly. So Int Broly, my thought process with him is domain. The early domain, and so I know with AGL UI I was talking about how I don't feel like it's fair to rate him taking into consideration AGL Broly's domain. Not AGL Broly, but Tech UI's domain. But with Int Broly it's slightly different. Because his domain is a turn 1 domain that you can pop. And yeah, it's only 3 turns, but usually you're running 2 of them. And in 6 turns, you're set up for the fight anyways. You know, if you're running his team. Even if you're not, you're getting 40% defense for extreme class allies for 4 turns. You're getting 60% damage reduction just off the bat for him. Like, it's absolutely insane. I didn't even know we did this. Just 2% HP back for per key sphere type, or per key sphere obtained. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's, I mean, even going forward after his domain is over, he gets a revive. No, it's not the after his domain, but it's after the 5th turn. Sorry. And then after he revives, he gets an extra 60% defense, and he's orb changing physical to int, and he's also supporting for 60% attack and defense. Like, it's honestly crazy. Like, this dude is absolutely insane, especially for, you know, where he's at. He's not on either of the new leader skills, or any of them. At least I don't believe that he is. He might be on one of the carnivals that I'm unaware of. He's on full power, so he's on Gohan's. But I feel like this guy's one of those. Once we start getting some extreme class units for these new type leader skills and things, he's gonna start really, really shining. So I do think he deserves to be up here. Moving on to that, speaking of more extreme class units, we have Tech Broly. Surprise, surprise. Tech Broly, you sit him in slot 1 and he cooks. You know what I mean? You sit him in slot 1, he's completely fine. For turn 1, you transform him after that, and he's still sitting in slot 1, being completely fine. The only time you really have to worry about him is after this runs out. He can get hit kind of hard occasionally, but not usually. You know, it's one of those things where he can get caught every now and then. But the big problem is a lot of fights lock, and he can get locked out of slot 1. If he's locked out of slot 1, he doesn't get this, and that's huge for him. That's one of the reasons I have him so low, is that he has to be in slot 1. But that being said, he's an amazing slot 1 unit, which we're kind of lacking as far as, or we were lacking, but as far as the new units go, none of the new units are slot 1s. So I feel like that kind of nets him a spot on this list. Kind of just unprecedented. Or not unprecedented, but naturally. It kind of lands him in the list. So, moving on from Broly, we've got Beast Gohan. Never thought I'd see the day that Beast Gohan is down here at number 7. That is insane to me. Absolutely insane. Now, that being said, the main reason for this, he falls into the same category as Broly. Like, for the beginning of the fight, you know, he's gonna be a god, and then once his damage reduction runs out, he slowly starts to trickle off a little bit, you know. And he has this active skill, which is it's protecting the team, which is, you know, always really good. But his damage is falling off. That's the problem. Broly doesn't have that issue yet. Broly's still doing good damage, and he's still tanking. But Beast Gohan's damage, it's starting to fall off. You know what I mean? It's not there like it was. It's starting to really show its age. He would really be helped if he get another Orange Piccolo, so he could activate this consistently. Or activate this super consistently. I think that could help him. But it's not there, you know what I mean? Sad, and it really is, it's sad. Because I really enjoy using him. But at the same time, I understand it. It's been over a year. No, about a year. It's been just slightly over a year. It's been a year. You could say that he's been absolutely insane, and he's still absolutely insane. But now there are just units who are better. So it's nothing really truly bad about him, not dissing him or anything like that. He's still an amazing unit. But for me, this is just kind of where he sits. That there are better units out now. So moving into the 6th slot, we have this guy, who is literally just is Beast Gohan, but he does damage still, kind of thing. Or Broly, but he does more damage, I guess. He's getting he got damage reduction, you know, extra damage reduction is the first attacking turn unit. It's guaranteed additional, that has a great chance of being a super as a 2nd or 3rd attacker in the turn, which would give him another defensive raise. So he's all around. He's a really solid unit. That's not counting this. But this is up. He's hitting pretty hard. You know, he's guard. He's guard and guaranteed. But once it activates, he gets this for 3 turns, which also activates on a dodge. So full dodge build is all the way there. He's getting super typing effective with 24 key, not crits, but that's not too big a difference. And then also he gets this, which is another team protecting mechanic. So it's like Orange Piccolo kind of thing. But granted, it's only when his HP is 40% or below, but if you're really needing it, you're probably below that threshold already, at least from my experience. So yeah, I think it's pretty, like I said, he's a slot 1 unit. We're running low on those, or we were. So I feel like he's, once again, deserved a spot here. So now we're moving into the top 5. This is where I feel like if I had to divide where a gap would be, the gap's here. Like, I feel like this is where the gap starts, if there's a gap. So in the 5th slot, we've got this guy. Now, don't get me wrong. He's an amazing unit. Absolutely insane. Even, and like, this, not that, this line, this is crazy. I feel like this is way more than a great chance. Because he dodges, for me at least, specifically, he dodges a ton. And oh, would you look at that? Another performs a critical hit when attacking with 24 keys. Start a turn. Anyways, I'll stop harping about that, at least for now. So he also has a team protector mechanic, which is grade 8. So, and it's a grade 8 transformation that hits pretty hard as well. So yeah, there's that. Now when he goes Super Saiyan 4, this is where it really starts, you know, really kicks into high gear, I guess. He's stacking attack and defense on both supers. And then the big thing is he's raising Allied's attack and defense by 44% for 2 turns. So he's making old units look like modern day units, which is absolutely crazy. He was making the 7-year Super Saiyan 4s look like they were modern day units pre-EZA. Like, he's absolutely ridiculous on his team. And when he's got, you know, surrounded with how he helps these units. But that also another part of that, though, is the fact that he gets this right here, which is he's giving both of these categories 70% defense and 10% damage reduction. So that's just, you know what I mean, it's insane support. He gets guaranteed guard. He's essentially always going to be critting because he gets crits for the first 4 turns guaranteed. But he also gets, for every attack performed or received, a 20% chance to crit in 1 key. And that stacks infinitely, so that'll quickly hit 100%. A really big thing with him, though, is this. Every time you drop below 44% HP, and he comes into the rotation, you're going to heal. Free heal. Every time. Like, he's absolutely crazy. I can't stress enough how good he really is. But I think right now he could go up for me. He could go up on the list. But he needs just a little more help as far as his leader skill goes. Because Giant 8 power currently is like 1 to 2 units short of a true team. Which I could see possibly these guys ECAing on like Golden Week or something like that. Or we could get a unit from Diamond for Saiyan Day or something like that. You know what I mean? It's very, very near future. This team's going to go crazy. But moving forward, I think he's locked into 5. I think he's locked in there pretty well. Just based on who's above him and whatnot. So moving on to who's above him, the top 4 here. These guys, it's probably getting pretty obvious who's going where. But we've got these guys, the gods, going into slot 4. The reason I put them, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll do this. We'll go ahead and do this because it's kind of 1 and 1. You know, the gods are at 4, the 4s are at 3. I feel like I have to talk about them the same. Here, they're the same unit. Like, literally the exact same unit. There's no difference at all. The difference comes here with their transformations. This guy gets dodge, which is a 30% chance to dodge here. And then he gets 10% per rainbow key sphere, which is really good. However, that means you're more than likely going to be sitting at a 60% chance to dodge, maybe 70. If you're really lucky, you'll get 80, but that's more than likely not going to happen. You'll probably cap out at 60%. And then you got this changes key spheres int to rainbow, which I don't believe is very useful. I think it's orb changing, but I think it would have been better if it was a random type of orb, not just int orbs. That, that's what separates him from me. So the offhand of that is this guy, where he's getting the same, all the same stuff, except instead of dodging, he sees supers. He's free scouter just off the gate. No restrictions behind it. Okay, well that's really, really good. That's insane. Then you're going to get plus every rainbow key sphere you're going to get is going to be 10% for your damage reduction, which that can go up to 50%, which is also insane because of the amount of defense that you're going to have with this guy. It's already going to be insanely high. 50% damage cut it's not going to make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to make a difference, but it's going to make it, so that's more than enough. 30%, that's enough. You're not going to take damage. You'll be fine. But he also has, so the gods have, when they get below, what is it, 50% HP? Where did it go? Here it is. Yeah, here it is. When receiving an attack, you get a guaranteed dodge at 50% HP or less. With this guy, you don't get that. You've got another 50% damage reduction. So with 50% damage reduction, plus this, that'll be more than likely looking like 70 to 80%, which you're just not dying with that much damage reduction. But even if you are, the only way it would be is through a super. However, you have guaranteed scouter, so you always know. But even then, when you're that low, you nullify it for the one time that you get, for the one time that it procs, you nullify the super and guaranteed counter it. Even if it's not that turn, you have a 70% chance to counter that super. Like, you're more than likely going to get the counter. To me, I value the scouter plus damage reduction and counter a lot more than I value the dodge. The reason that being is that dodge gets canceled in a lot of fights recently, and you can't cancel damage reduction. It doesn't work that way. I guess you have crits and stuff, but even then, you're not touching this guy. So that's where I rank those two at, personally. I mean, why they're above the rest of the game, like, let's be serious. They stack for 7 turns, and they have guard for, what is it, the first 7, is it 7 turns? Yeah, first 7 turns, and they're invincible turn 1. So that these guys are the exact same. They're the same unit pre-transformation. So I feel like it's pretty straightforward to have them, like 1 and 2, I guess. Not just literally 1 and 2, but like right there together. Now, the same thing happens with the next 2, which you can probably already imagine. But I've actually got Vegito at 2 and Gogeta at 1. I don't think, I've seen a lot of people say Vegito's better. Quite honestly, I just disagree. I outright disagree. My reasoning for that being is, yes, Vegito's good, but I've had Vegito get hit really hard with this up. And if you've got a target mechanic and you're getting hit hard, that's not good enough for me, because that means you're going to get hit a lot more times. And if you're not tanking it now, then it's very easy, that I see at least, that this guy becomes a STR Super Vegito, where after a little bit after his release, he's suddenly getting shredded. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I see the possibility for it. I see much more value coming from this guy as far as the support side of it, because you're getting, instead of just being like, I'm going to make everybody target me, instead you're just supporting everybody by an insane amount, keep in mind, but you're supporting everybody. And I believe that is a more valuable ability than I just hit really hard. Keep in mind, I mean, this guy also hits pretty hard, but he's mainly a support / defensive unit, where this guy's mainly offensive. Now, even more so going into that, I believe that in their original start of turn forms, I do believe that Goku is a bit better, but I don't believe the Goku and the Vegito side, but I don't believe that it's marginally better. Like that there's a vast margin there. I feel like it's pretty close. However, when we swap to the defensive side of it, I feel like this Goku blows him out of the water. So it's like, yes, he's stacking defense with damage reduction and guard. That's gonna be good. However, this guy's stacking defense with guard, which is great, but he's also got a 70% chance to dodge in slot 1. And then when you have 10 or more ki, which is basically every turn, because you're getting 5 ki start a turn, you're getting an extra 10% dodge, so that's pushing you to 80%, plus you're stacking defense. Now, a lot of these new fights that do cancel dodge, they don't cancel dodge until the final phases. And at that point, your defense is already stacked up enough that it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, you're fine. Whereas a lot in the earlier stages, you get your dodges off just in case that you are indeed low HP, or you're in a spot where you can be tagged and take a lot of damage. I've had Vegeta die a couple times because of something like that, whereas this guy would just dodge. Now, that being said, I do acknowledge that this dodge canceling is a thing. Vegeta does have better counters to that, considering he's not a dodging unit, but I do feel that the stacking from this guy is more than enough to counter the anti-dodge mechanics. So all in all, this is the list. I feel like this is pretty solid. I'm gonna stand by it. I feel like you could swap these two. I could see that. I could very easily see that. I do feel like Vegeta's just a tad bit better. But, and then obviously you can swap these two. These guys are really close. These guys are really close, and these guys are really close. I've seen the argument of this, you know, and I don't disagree with that either, necessarily, because these guys are slot 1 units for the first, you know, or for pretty much ever, whereas these guys aren't. So it's like, I completely understand that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand the thought process behind it. The only ones that I feel like, and you can honestly, you could swap Gotenks out with either of these three. There's probably a couple more units I could slide in there, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But anyways, this is what I'm feeling. If I can, yeah, this is what I'm feeling as far as my list for currently and how things are currently playing out. If more units do end up dropping, they drop more EZAs, I'll obviously have to redo it. But yeah, assuming that's not the case, this is the list. This is the post-anniversary tier list, and I think it's I'm pretty, you know, proud of this. I stand by this. So yeah, I will see you guys later. Peace out, y'all. Stay safe.